right, I'll see if I can figure out this microphone. Thanks everyone. My name is Beth Liston and I am a scientist, I'm an educator, and I'm a doctor here in Columbus. And I really am speaking on that pretty simple but crucial message that science saves lives. So I'm here with the community of physicians and the Physicians Action Network. We are wearing our white coats. They're not red, they're not blue. This isn't a partisan issue. This is simple truth and real fact. We use science every day, and it is critical to the health of our patients and our communities. So, a while ago, when I was a grad student, which does seem like a long time ago now, I had the opportunity to spend a couple of years researching cancer development. We thought that if we could really understand how cells get signals from the environment, we could target that and develop treatments and medications that only affected cancer cells and not normal cells. And this would increase effectiveness and decrease side effects. And this was a really exciting time in cancer research. We were using basic science principles in biology and chemistry to develop compounds and study them targeted to destroy cancer cells. So, but a couple years later, fast forward, I finished medical school and I was a resident doctor and I was taking care of a patient. I'll call her Mrs. S. And she had come into the hospital because she was tired and she just didn't have the energy to do her normal daily routine, her morning exercises. And so she was there and I had checked some blood tests. I was concerned when I saw the results about a disease called chronic myelogenous leukemia, which is a type of blood cancer. I told her this, and of course she and her husband were scared. Right? They hadn't envisioned their retirement spent in a hospital. They thought they were going to travel. And this was horrible news. I consulted a cancer specialist, we did more tests, and it turned out that her disease had a specific mutation that could be targeted in that very same pathway I had studied just a few years before. The basic science research that we had done had led to the development of drugs that had changed her illness from a death sentence into a chronic disease that she could manage. You can fast forward a few more years, and I can tell you about talking to a family of an 8-year-old girl and telling them that their daughter had leukemia. Now, unfortunately, she had a pretty difficult one with a poor prognosis. With older treatments, only 30% of kids with this disease would live for 3 years. However, again, that targeted newer therapy really changed the prognosis. Using the same type of medication that Mrs. S had received, we could improve that to 80% for 3 years. Now, 80% is a lot better than 30%, but it is still not 100%. We must support policies that enable scientists to do this life-saving research. However, that is not enough. There are millions of people in this country suffering from diseases that we know how to treat, that we know how to prevent. We must support policies that actually use the science that we already know. This means access to affordable health care. But it really affects all aspects of our life. We know that health and education are intertwined, that better education leads to healthier children. We know that it's really hard to learn if you're sick and you can't have access to health care. We know that childhood traumas, things like being exposed to violence or having food insecurity and financial uncertainty, these actually increase chronic illnesses in these children as they grow up. We know that poor air quality and pollution worsens asthma and lung disease. We know that water contaminated with lead decreases IQs and impairs brain development. We must take these important types of hard understandings and use them. We must help spread the knowledge that we have learned. We must teach children and young people to evaluate information. We must teach them to think deeply and rationally, to question, to hypothesize, to weigh evidence, and understand real facts. We must take these things that we know and work together to create policy and keep our country healthy. As a doctor, I use science every day to help people. I expect my government to do the same. And so, we are here together to make sure they hear this message. We are marching and shouting, "Science saves lives! Science saves lives! Science saves lives! Science saves lives!" Thank you.